Hello, welcome back again. This week we're going to be having a look at footwork. We've done a lot of work at looking at how we actually move the cane. We've had a little bit at looking at how we move our knees to move up and down, but what we haven't really looked at is how we move around. Okay? Now I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the back forward kind of stuff because, again, it's very common to pretty much every martial art, every sword play. I'm going to lift the front foot, push with the back foot to move forward. I'm going to lift with the back foot, push with the front foot to move away. And that gives me in and out. If I'm going to go around my opponent, it really depends on circumstances. There's nothing to stop me essentially lunging in one direction and recovering, but equally there's nothing to stop me crossing my foot behind and moving around. The only proviso I put on that is if you're going to cross your feet behind, make sure he's not about to come into grappling. Yeah? This, I can still do stuff from a grappling point of view. If he hits me and I've got my legs crossed, it is over for me, I'm on the deck. So, just be aware of that. But if we're out of range, at this kind of hand range, I'm pretty safe moving around because you won't be able to exploit that in time. But that's not the kind of footwork I want to talk about particularly today. There's a few things I want to discuss. Really three things. The first thing is to be aware of the slip. A very useful technique, particularly if my opponent is stupid enough to go after my leg. My opponent goes to hit my leg, I don't want to drop, sorry, go for it. I don't want to have to drop my cane down here because it breaks my golden rule. Yeah? I don't really want to parry down here because this is really awkward every time somebody goes to my leg. So all I'm going to do is, as that attack comes in, I'm going to slip my leg back out the way. And I'm just going to void it. My leg will not be there. That allows me to punish him at the same time as he's attacking my leg. So I have that slip. I can, very similar actually to the slip where if my opponent attacks my hand, I'm going to slip my hand back out of the way. If I'm really feeling brave, there are other slips I can do as well, such as if my opponent's attacking into this side, I can move across here, coming underneath the cane. I would normally cover under that just to be on the safe side. Same as if the attack comes in on the other side, I can kind of lunge at it, give myself a little bit of cover, and move out of the way. It's not as good because I don't feel comfortable enough not to use the cover, but they are there. Second thing that's worth knowing about is drop steps, which if you've watched any of our Bartitsu videos, this is probably something you're already familiar with. The difference being that if I spin my hand around the foot, I can get a reasonable amount of power in that. But what I want to do is add a lot more power. I'm going to do that by lifting this front foot up and letting my body fall by gravity into it. So I'm then adding my body weight onto the hip. So rather than here, it becomes here. And I'm sure Andrew will attest there was a reasonable difference in force between that. So it's something that can happen very quickly that can allow me to do a lot more damage. If I can do it with the front foot, I can do it with the back foot, but only after I've done the front foot. And by that I mean I can do two drop steps, one after the other. So I can drop step here. Then I can spin around the other way and drop step up in the other direction by moving one foot and then the other. So front foot, pull, back foot. So I'm dropping further down, investing more of my momentum into hitting my opponent. Obviously once I'm here, I have no more down. But what I do have is very coiled legs, ready to spring, and we'll be looking to lunge forward or something at that point. But being aware of your drop steps are important as well. And the third thing that's really important to understand is the décalage, which admittedly comes from the Savat side of Bartitsu stuff we do, but really fits into this. And what that is when my opponent comes in to hit me, I'm going to step diagonally offline and then deliver my cut straight through there, but on an angle he's not necessarily expecting. The trick to a décalage is, as he comes in, I move, hit, move, rather than move, move, hit. And by that I mean, otherwise it would look like that, whereas what I want it to look like is, and I'm almost able to get a second strike in there if I wanted it in the time space. But it also allows me to move offline. And this is great because if he does something like comes in with a headshot, I can actually décalage completely out of the way. And I don't have to engage that attack at all, which means I can be using that time to affect my opponent. And if I move around just for visibility, if I'm going to go the other way, so if I décalage, I move this way, I can also pivot to have the same effect in the other direction. But I have to do two passes, well, pass and a pivot. So from here I pass forward and then pivot to move my body right the way out of the way. And again, I can do that either as a void, as you're just all there, or I can add it in with an attack. So if I come in here, that becomes my movement out to this side. So again, so I can get that strike in as I'm moving. So, 3 important bits of footwork: the slip, the drop step, and the décollage. And when added in, again, just really elevate your cane game up to the next level. So, hopefully you found that useful and something to throw into your sparring, and we'll catch up with you next week.